Old photos of an old town to make history in its sound. From the early days of 70s, Brisbane City will feel a new direction. From the arrests in West End of punk to the demolishment of Cloudland in the middle of the night, disco would hit the new music nightclub, and DJs would mix to a new sound that would begin. The valley of its dark past to a city that would engage in music madness. One to have its stage. The scene was set. What was there before the nightclub?
Shoulder to shoulder in a crowd of well-lubricated revelers, or a more dignified dining experience. But there are always those who overdo it. In the 70s, it wasn't uncommon for police to make several hundred arrests on the night.
The members of our police force find their time wasted and their personal safety needlessly threatened by rioting louts and hooligans.
On the streets of Fortitude Valley to Parliament House, corruption ran rife. Illegal casinos, brothels and bribes.
Long the focus of Brisbane's celebrations. No night complete without drinkers at the fountain.
They don't drink on the job, of course. After all, it would be a bit messy if the police booked them on drunken...
On a nighttime drive, there's the big gun. So Cybex coming out for a little night drive into the city. But I'm just going to start off in the suburb, cruising down. There's a club down here where a few things happened. There were strippers and all sorts of stuff. Rogues International. So this was a place that was a pink colour and a black and gold colour. Very different now. It's a pet barn now. Pathetic. But this place, yeah. Tina and the Wild Side did a record, some footage shot in here, which DJ Catch scratched over, and yeah, so a few people there. She was a stripper, I think, back in the day. But Rogues International, that was a place in the suburbs, which Edwin even DJ'd there, I think, once in the 90s. But yeah, but let's hit the city, eh? Let's do it, yeah. Performance from Caesar's nightclub, which I believe then became Rogues International. So, yeah, Clockwork, a dance troupe here performing out there.
It's 1 o'clock in Central Europe.
Well, it's 1 o'clock in Brisbane City, not quite Europe, but let's have a look.
New Look Images. A revolving nightclub, intimate bars, a la carte dining and really special functions on top of the world. Find yourself among the stars 24 floors above the city lights. New Look Images. It's you, STIO Building City. Images of color and sound. Images. Step into another world.
Okay, that's obviously a new building, or was the SGIO building. Well, that's it there between this church, because around the corners where the B-boys used to hang out, there was a revolving restaurant up the top, and there was, this is Images nightclub. That building, or that building, because King George Square is there, right? King George Square. So, yeah, it was quite a stylish club, and it had a revolving dance floor, and I thought I remember having it was in the daytime, it was a revolving restaurant or some shit later, but yeah, so it's all bus terminals and that, always was. but this is where Metropolis used to sit behind this wall, and it was a wild place. Joe Beltram played in there, Quadrophonia, you name it, Boxcar, and yeah, it's, I remember waiting in line to see Beastie Boys.
Acid came on and I had to run away. So yeah, there you go.
Skinny's was up that way, and for a lot of years, and Zephyr's was coming down this way, downstairs. The Zephyr's was a second-hand record shop, and Skinny's later on moved down here. Somewhere along here, I think this could be the stairwell here. Yeah, this is it. The Alarm Nightclub, I believe. So that's a trip. What are they doing down there now? Cutting hair. Cutting hair, man. Fuck me dead. There was people on the dance floor crazy. This is where Kesson was DJing. Cool Rock Steady, Tyree was playing. Fast Eddie. Jackets was stepping to the house embroidery. Club was going off. Smoke filled. Everyone on the dance floor. What a club. And this joint, well, this is Skinny's now, so that's Skinny's, that's where Skinny's was, you know, some other crap, like everything else in Brisbane.
Hip-hop is the new style that I created, all around the world and devastated, by the hip, which is short for hip-hop, and by the house, which is rising to the top.
DJ International Records, what a label. Fast Eddie did the Yo-Yo Get Funky, a massive hit all around the world. This guy Tyree, also Cool Rock Steady, was also played at the Alarm Nightclub. So yeah, fantastic, move your body. Just the wave that went from US to Europe to little Brisbane, and 20 Seconds to Comply also, still a bullet, a big hit out there, DJ Kesson. Get ready, because I'm about to turn it out. Don't worry about getting rowdy, just dance.
Go-Go's is along there, somewhere like that. Still got some old alleyways you can go down. So, part of Brisbane, well, graffiti and stuff too, you know. Throw-ups and look at all this shit now. Oh, yeah. Nutter. Oh, there's a cool little face. Well, that's ain't bad, is it? Little alien dude.
Say goodbye, darling. Let's get it straight. I can't
early days of New York body popping out in the street, just out the front of Danceteria in New York. Showing how it was with the fashions of the street, meeting with what wanted to go into the nightclubs, and Danceteria incidentally was a club that broke Madonna, and Jelly Bean used to DJ there. So yeah, a lot of ideas. New York clubs made their way to Brisbane from the clash of European influences as well. So it was very exciting being a b-boy myself, body popping on the streets and in the nightclubs. Although windmills and stuff like that, some of the bouncers would get upset because you'd be knocking over people trying to just dance. So, just showing the fashion shops
That is a great outfit.
where places like the Mask would get a bit more goth, but they had a lot of new wave stuff as well. And you can see here the girls talking about the breakers and fashion and where dark wave meets Italo and other forms of fashion that people were wearing when they were going out. Not scared to wear things that were out of bounds.
Wow, this is really nice. Yes, isn't it? Wow. Look at the skirt on this one. Is this another boy blender? Yes, it is. Yeah, we just got this in a few days ago. It's really fun. I mean, imagine dancing in this.
Okay, DJ Cybex out at the fair again, and I've got Rick here, who owned Egg Records, has spent his time with Warwick with Rocking Horse Records, knows his stuff, been overseas. But I was walking through the city late last night and I forgot to mention Morticia's, an old sort of goth, sort of new wave club that were playing things like March Violets, right?
Sure, yeah, they were playing, well, they were playing Sisters of Mercy, Temple of Love, I remember that. When it first came out, there was a lot of big alternative records. Brisbane was a rock. Brisbane had nightclubs that did rock music, unlike every other city in Australia. Every other city did dance music. Every other city did disco. And did I don't know, hip hop. Well, early rap and stuff like that. Whereas Brisbane was pretty rock centric. Okay. So there were gothic nightclubs in Brisbane that weren't anywhere else in Australia, and Morticia's was probably the best. Now the DJ there was Johnny Griffin. He then later had Flares and all those other, and did get into like real disco, and then those were the biggest nightclubs in the country. Right. It was a one-man show. Now he would charge $10 on the door, which back in the 80s was a ridiculous amount of money as an entry fee.
That's right.
And he got 10% of the bar. You know, it was an incredible gig. And but anyway, Morticia's was his club, and it was a fantastic club. He was an incredible DJ. He had a huge knowledge of music. He would come into Rocking Horse on probably every day or second day.
And find things, wow.
And fine.
What about the fashion, like the Mask and places like that?
Okay, well the Mask was owned by Peter Brown. Now Peter Brown had he had clubs himself. I'm trying to remember what those clubs were called that Peter had.
I thought Manhattan's had something to do with Manhattan's.
Maybe. I mean, I can't recall going to Manhattan's, but certainly I remember going to Morticia's, working in Rocking Horse on a Friday night. We would close the shop at about 8 o'clock and then head up to Morticia's, and we'd get there about 9 o'clock, and and stay for a few hours, and that was where you heard all those.
And we were talking
everything that we sold to him, we'd hear it there, you know, and we knew every song.
And another brilliant album, and all the records from Wall of Voodoo, early days, Crack the Bell, we were talking about that record, how amazing the production and what they were doing with these film sequences and things in the music. So yeah,
we wouldn't hear Crack the Bell because that wasn't a single. Okay, that was just a song on the Dark Continent album.
Yeah.
But Johnny Griffin would play certainly Call of the West, Interstate. He would play other Wall of Voodoo singles.
That's right.
And even into after Stan Ridgway left Wall of Voodoo, and is it Moreland, Moorhead or Moore? I can't remember the second singer's name.
I can't either, actually. Far Side of Crazy was a big hit, though, off that next album.
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, fantastic times, and just Rocking Horse with the early days of Rocking Horse and the imports that were coming in with the early hip-hop records and stuff. Was it hard to get these records in? Was it a problem?
I think it was hard to get them in. You know, I mean, well, Rocking Horse was was the only importer really. There were other record shops in Brisbane. Warwick would often order records on their behalf as well, and supply the other shops.
What, with Kent Records as well?
No, this is before Kent.
This is before Kent. Wow.
Okay. So Kent started with Bruce Anton and Neil Cundy.
Right.
And a fella called Clark Kent, who used to be a Rocking Horse customer.
Wow.
Right. Okay. And then Bruce managed Rocking Horse.
Yeah.
Neil worked in Rocking Horse.
Right.
So they left and started up Kent.
Yeah.
With Clark's enormous wallet, and
so it became the competition.
It became competition, big competition.
Because I was walking through, finding where Skinny's used to be.
Sorry.
So Skinny's also was another second-hand sort of place. Skinny's and
Skinny's had new and second-hand.
Yeah, and Zephyrs. And of course Record Exchange, which still there today. So although the owner died not long ago, so. Well, thanks very much for that little interview, Rick. And peace out from the Cybex for Def Galaxia, in effect.
Over in Adelaide Street. That was 1979, and it was bright red, had red carpet, and it had flashing lights out the front, which looked like a hot chicken shop.
Okay, since I've passed this is a joint where
I used to DJ on some Friday nights there for some uni students with, we'll call the Dig It DJs. A few of us, Module, DJ Sven, a Dutch mate, and a guy called Drill Unit. Look at that, it's Felice. It's Felice. Can you see that? Oh man. That's why I need to start a new fucking nightclub in here. Miami Bass. Right. Very cool. Yeah, so that's an old building, yeah. This is on Margaret Street. That's a very old hotel up there. So I believe, so different, man. Somewhere down here, between Elizabeth Street, I think this is Charlotte Street, Transformers nightclub was a club where I saw Tone Lock play, and Kathy Dennis played here. She did that Dream Is Just a Dream track, which reminds me of that Go-Go's track by Jane Weird, and she did a 12-inch where Ship Nunes did the dub editing in a Dream. So yeah, and Blondie apparently played here. So how about that? Peter Tinghini was a DJ here. So yeah, very, very popular place in the 80s. Transformers. And we'll walk up this way.
DJ Graham Clem working the mix. So mixing in tag team. There it is. What's coming out through here will be, you can hear snippets there. Be mixing in Two Live Crew. We Want Some Pussy. So this is Transformers nightclub. We'll show the dance floor. And yeah, at the time, I mean, everyone was just cheering to the track. They loved it, but I guess there would have been some girls who got upset that it was offensive and that, degrading women. But there was a few records that came out, you know, the Todd Terry rework. Instead of This Is Acid, This Is Penis. So yeah, that was an interesting record. Just Got Laid at Sunday Night was another one. Instead of Just Got Paid, it's Friday night. So yeah, so there you go. You can see everyone enjoying themselves at Transformers nightclub. And I think Two Live Crew are going to do a movie. There's going to be a movie maybe on them too, like NWA movie. You know, they had all sorts of stuff happen. Records pulled from the record shelves, just like Rocking Horse had with Dead Kennedys getting pulled from the shelves here. So that's it. And then the explicit lyrics warning stickers would come on the records. So then, yeah, if you're going to buy it, you know, the youngsters, the parents are aware and all that stuff, yeah. There we go. DJ Graham Clam, scratching.
Yeah, that doesn't work. Have we got any volume there? We got any volume right there? Good, that's working well. Can you hear that? In magnetic, it's all plugged in. I like it so. Mags are plugged in. That's why we have technicians.
Technician to burn. DJ Angus, rip it up, fresh, scratch.
B-boy starts at the Transformers nightclub. So this is at the winning of DJ Dominic Hogan, second DJ Angus, Transformers nightclub. So everyone jamming it out, dancing. Ooh.
Could that be the back stairwell of Wall Street? Maybe. Okay, so what if I just showed you that, then Victory Hotel's up from it, and that's been there for yonks. So I think even in there you could get the flaming Lamborghini at the bar, which is a blue test tube, like a licorice drink. You'd put on fire and smash it down, you'd be absolutely gone off one. It cost about $10 in the 80s, so it was an expensive sort of cocktail. But man, did it have a kick. Heaps of fun those days. Look at that ceiling. Now this to me looks like the entry to Wall Street, 150 Edward. So, Stock Exchange Hotel, but if we flick back, see the outline of the old building still there. Some of the old brickwork, you know. And there's your front. Wow, look at that. It's bringing back a memory there. I think that's it. I think. Well, Wall Street's here. I remember the bouncers sitting in there before you went in, then you had to take the lift up to the top. Catch used to play it there a bit too, and these other Greek guys playing Ultimixes and that. I think even Victor Borg might have played here a couple of times. Rest in peace, Victor Borg. Bought a lot of second-hand records, some of his. He was a resident at the DJ at the G Penthouse down the Gold Coast, I believe. Yeah, so there we go. This vision here from Expo 88 in Brisbane, but you can see the track that they're playing really broke out here in the major clubs. Salt and Pepper's Push It, which also just brought in more underground of hip house and acid house music. Back on Elizabeth Street. So very significant, across the road somewhere from just down from the Embassy Hotel, still the same there, I believe, where the Club X is now. Downstairs through there was Kent Records, where I'd find Steady B and a stack of other stuff. There was a lot of metal guys going there getting metal and stuff too, and punk. But there was a damn lot of good hip hop down there, and everything, you know, MC Shy D, all that cool stuff. This could be it actually here. This joint here, it's so different now, man, but there's a stairwell going down in there. So a lot of the faces have been changed. So, okay, so another night spot again. Showgirls these days, but it used to be Lexington Queen, and before that Hot Gossip. So that's where Senard used to DJ down there, and a lot of Europeans would go there. The Greeks, the Yugoslavs, the Turks, the Aussies, everybody. Yeah, cool place sometimes, eh? That's where you hear White Horse, Laid Back, and other cool tracks like that. To mention here, Central Station Records moved from the valley into this place here. Up the left you go, and that was wicked. They had heaps of great records coming into there, Evolutes and fucking oh boy, the list goes on, man. Heaps of good Dutch Belgian techno. So Record Exchange, it's still going here. The owner died not long ago. Used to be down near Playtime in the valley, not in the valley, further past Elizabeth Street, and then it went into the downstairs in the mall, just down from Central Station. This is where I found a lot of second-hand records from some of the DJs that sold some of their things. Chris Hewitt, a few other people, Aldo, Paul Fowles. So along here is where it's all just built up. But yeah, Thanx nightclub, and it had like a big train sort of along the top, and people used to wear makeup like split ends and get down in that joint. So, and then around the corner there going towards Roma Street is where I had a great dance party called Vision, which was exploding with sound all into the next morning. It was a ripper. That was Strange Master again. Adelaide Street. So let's continue down. Man in the silver suit. Yeah, so yeah, Thanx nightclub, gee. So another place there. Played some old footage, showing a bit of the nightclub there, and yeah, quite rocky stuff was played there. Some dancey stuff, but there you go, hitting the sax. You can see there the guy on the left there with that makeup there, a little bit, it's got that split end style, isn't he? So, yeah, funny shit. The lighting, disco lighting, tracks, and the bar, of course. Something Lamborghini, please. Oh, a Black Russian. Pumpin' and bumpin', jamming on an 87, Brisbane. Cutie. Then their nightclub spill out and dance onto the streets. I think this is New Year's Eve. So yeah, you can see the fashion, yeah? Sort of the hot fashion of the girls.
teased hair. I actually used to put toothpaste in my hair, because Dad would never buy me any gel, so I put toothpaste in my hair to stiffen up the hair before I would go out. Meet up with HD and Jeff out for rumours. Yeah. So yeah. So here you can hear boom, boom, boom. Another European import at the time that just crossed over really. So yeah, Pollock layers.
Ladies' night of diamonds, working after hours. Ripples on my kiss, never got a night's rest. Jack, a jock with an act. Halo leader, touch me, squeeze me, ooh.
DEF, another Def Galaxian production. Well, I'm playing Michael Bow, Freak It In, Freak It Out, drinking a West Coast cooler, and I have with me today a special guest all the way from South Africa, Mick Evans, who's done the Hippodrome, various remix productions for Safety Dance, Men Without Hats, Beautiful Ballet, Energy, a great record, and various other things in his career. But we're going to go right back to the beginnings in Brisbane at Sibyl's, where he did various DJ work. And tell us a bit about those early days when you were younger, like collecting the vinyl 12 inches.
Well, it started off for me. Thanks, Alex, for having me on, by the way.
No, thank you. Thank you, sir.
It started off for me in the late 70s with the disco boom. And that's what was firing it all for me. And then when the 80s turned around, probably 82, 83, Australia seemed to have went down this pub rock way and playing all the Jimmy Barnes and all that sort of stuff, which was fine, and I started to do that as well. But then I was seeing that nobody was happy.
Right.
So then I had my own disco on the Gold Coast called the Jedi Club, which I had various DJs playing. So then I was approached by Sibyl's. Would I go there?
Yeah.
And I went up and had a look, and then I said yes. So I was there for 3 years, 4 nights a week. But it was such a big club, you know, the pub rock scene was just going to kill it. So I went looking for, you know, a fresh sort of disco sound. I had a couple of good friends in Melbourne at that time who had a record store called Central Station Records, and one of them was Italian, and they were importing.
Excellent.
So I went down to Melbourne and I started listening to them. So then I picked up on the new thing back then, which was the sort of Euro sort of disco scene, which was mainly out of Italy and Germany. And it was bands like Ken Laszlo, Fancy, Slice Me Nice, even Boney M had a new album out with Happy Song, Sex Over the Phone. And Zouk Records, they released Male Stripper. So I grabbed all these records and I brought them back to Brisbane.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, it's probably going to take me a bit of a time to slowly introduce these. But in the first sort of half an hour, people were just on that big dance floor, and the girls, the guys, everybody was dancing and looking happy.
That's
so
right.
I thought, well, this is it. Everybody hated that style of music back then. So Civils was the breaking ground for that, and I was probably one of the pioneers to that scene. There was another friend of mine that opened up an import store in Brisbane. Two friends, a DJ called Paul Flex Taylor and another guy called Lee, and they had an import store in the Valley. But at the time, there was another import store in Sydney called Disco City.
I've been there. Great place, yeah.
Well, the owner, Gordon, he was a friend of mine, and what he used to do, he used to send me up boxes and boxes of records, and he'd say to me, well, if you can sell them up there. And I said to him, well, let me just give me the ones that I'm playing. And it turned out to be that I was getting, a box of like 100 records each week, and people were coming up to the DJ box in Civils and just buying them as I was playing.
Wow.
And then it became so big that Polygram Records in Brisbane sent Civils a letter, and the managers back then were Michael and Justin Craig. They sent them a letter saying if they don't stop me selling these import records, they're going to shut the club down.
Wow, very, wow, keep going,
Lucky enough, Michael and Justin called their bluff, and we just kept on going. But then the rest of Brisbane's, like the Beat and all the other places, Angus, another friend of mine, DJ friend of mine back then, they all started to pick up on what I was playing, and especially the Beat in the Valley.
Yeah.
And next thing, it started to become a thing. And then all of a sudden, I was on Stereo 10 radio. I had a show every, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday afternoon, which was introducing new import dance tracks.
Yeah, that's
and so
right.
then I had Polygram at the time, then swung around and was asking me what labels were these tracks on. So then they started to import, because one big track we had, a guy called Paul Carcass, a song called Boom Boom, Let's Go Back to My Room.
That's right, a big hit.
Next thing, Polygram or Polydor, they then bought the license to it and released it. So they started to release these tracks that I was playing. So then I actually think Brisbane probably was the capital then of the dance scene as far as the Euro disco pop until the later sort of age. I think I sort of was taken overseas in 87, I think it was, to Austria and then into England. So, but I think at that stage, Brisbane was the capital of the dance of the country for all these import music that we used to play.
Wow.
And there was nothing, it was more, like I said, it was more to do with finding not so much a niche market, but because the Civils was a big club, and they had a little club downstairs for the over 25s, which held about 100 people or something like that. We're upstairs, it was in the thousands. So I just, the pub rock scene with the Cold Chisels and all that, it was too big a room to keep it entertained from the hours of like 9 till I think it was back then it was 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't 5 o'clock opening until Jupiter's Casino come on the scene. So the disco thing, and because I come out of the disco from the late 70s, it was sort of like, it was interesting music. It was sort of Euro poppy. It was, it was probably even a bit sort of gayish, but that was what the scene was back then, and what the clubs overseas were playing.
That's right.
Remember, we never had internet back then, so we used to take a chance and send off telexes. And we'd have to order so many of these records.
That's right.
So,
sourcing out some of the records was quite an incredible thing. You only had subscriptions to get with Disconnect and things like that.
All those. We had the hot tracks, the Disconnects, and we had the Ulti mixes.
Ulti mix, Love them.
We had had all of that, but even that subscription stuff, all of that was coming out of America, and it wasn't until the sort of 84, 85 before they started to put on some of this European disco music.
That's right.
And so then tracks started turning up on Hot Tracks with all of that. But no, you know, I mean, I've got 15,000 12-inch singles, you know, including the subscription stuff. So I've still got all my Sybil stuff. One day,
that's
I'm
great to
get
hear.
Back and do a big reunion for a Sybils. You know, a lot of people would like to live that memory once more, I guess, while I still got the music. So
yeah, well, that's right. That'd be a great thing, you know. And yeah, I'd love to support you doing that with some DJing there. That'd be fun. It's always best on the vinyl mixing. So with equipment and vinyl mixing and mixers, what was some of the early ones that you were using? Was it Technics 1200?
Well, my first Technics 1200s, I bought 3 of them, and I still use them to this day. And I bought them in 1979.
Wow, they're heavy duty, excellent, yeah.
Yeah, I've replaced the pitch slider in them, but the mixer that I was using at Sybils was built in Sydney from a company called Jan's.
Okay,
it was called a JD1. And then I ended up buying an Italian mixer called LEM, L-E-M.
Right.
And then after getting into Europe, then we moved into the Alan Heath and the Citronics and things like that.
Yeah.
But those guys are still around. Like, I still use an Alan Heath desk now. Like, I'm still doing the big festivals over here. I'm staying away from the club scene, but I'm doing the open air big festivals.
That style,
and that just keeps my ear in, because I'm still in the build of the studio. And once that's finished, I'll be back in making the records and stuff. But in the last few months, there will be coming out through Master Mix from the UK. Some remixes I've done Edward Starr, Eye to Eye Contact, which was a 1978 hit.
Yeah, wow.
Remixed that. Safety Dance, as you spoke about. I've also done Deep Purple, made a house version of Smoke and Water.
Okay.
I've done Black Betty, Ram Jam. And I've done the Babies, isn't it, time? So there's a collection I'm putting together now with today's sort of housey sort of EDM stuff going on. So
right. No, that's fantastic, mate. You pretty much told me in a nutshell there some early times there, what you were doing, and I'm going to probably run out of my space here on my camera, but I really appreciate you catching up with me and talking a little bit about the early days, and good luck with the future with all your music endeavours there, and it's just great that you still love playing the vinyl, the deep 12-inch sound. Yeah, so you can't get past that. It rocks, doesn't it?
Yeah. One thing, just on the finishing note, one thing we've got to always remember, the people, I might have been the pioneer or one of the pioneers of that scene back then, but how it all become was because of the people. The people made that scene. I might have been the engine to play it, but the people digged it, and they made Brisbane basically the dance capital of Australia.
Yeah.
So moved away from Melbourne. So no, thank you to all the people and all that used to come along. There's Wayne and the Roberts and all them. I'm still friends with them on Facebook. So
fantastic. Yeah, no, that's great to see. It's those places that got those first imports, Man to Man's, Mel Stripper, and they couldn't get enough 12 inches in. You know, once the hold with the crowd got there, you know, things like even later, Stacker Humanoid. These are records that came a bit later, but the acid scene really exploded with Chicago and everything, and you know, it's a backward forwards connection with Europe. You know, so a lot of stuff was breaking through the 80s in Brisbane, and then moving into the rave also in Brisbane here, what we were getting from UK with the jungle scene and all of these amazing sounds. So you were part of the early pioneer of basically a lot of things there in Brisbane. And
in London, I was one of the people that mixed up with the first rave scene. It was called Acid House first off. We were making Acid House records in the late 80s.
Yep.
And then from Acid House, Prodigy come on the scene with Charlie, and then from there we give it the new name Rave, and then into the 90s, Belgium, 2 Unlimited, and then people picked up on it and commercialised it more and called it techno. But it started off as Acid House and then moved into Rave. And
That's
then,
right.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I've got a lot of those records I made back then. There's heaps of that stuff. But then again, it was the same thing. The Hippodrome, held 10,000 people. So, you have big clubs. You needed energy. And
to feel it, yeah.
That's what one thing I learned in Brisbane, in Australia, which got me through into the big places in Europe, was knowing that thought that if it's a big venue, play the energised music.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we feel the energy. Still today, people are collecting some of these old records and getting energised from it, and it's just great for us old cats to see some of the younger people getting into it. And so long live old school vinyl and old school nightclubs. And let's keep moving and chase those lasers, eh?
I mean, the amount of people over here that want me to keep asking me would I teach them to play vinyl, it's amazing. But it is the biggest selling media and has been for the last 4 years of the world. Vinyl is back.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I never stopped collecting from my early days in '84, break dancing and Beat Street and all that stuff. So,
Beat Street.
Wow, what a movie!
Used to play that.
That's right. Good. That's right. The Roxy.
One of the big hits off that was big at Sibbles was To the Rhythm of the Night, DeBarge.
Oh yeah, Rhythm of the Night, DeBarge. I remember that record.
The other big hit off that in Sibbles was Freak Show on the Dance Floor.
Oh yeah, that one, and Hot Streak, Bodywork was another one I remember.
Body Rock, and Wiggy.
Oh yeah, Nucleus. Oh yeah, their album. When I found their album, I lost it, man. I must admit, that one and Johnson Crew, that album by them, Pack Jam. That was vocoder, all that early vocoder street stuff was dynamic, and the dancers would pop and break dance to it, right?
Yeah, that was it. Well, we used to have this dance group on the Gold Coast called the Smurfs, and they were breakers.
Ah, yeah, the Smurfs, the Smurfs. I know some of the Smurfs and the Stuff and various other crews formed B-Boy All-Stars, which is a Brisbane crew that performed at Expo 88, and there's various other connections there in what happened, So there we go.
It's good.
It's good, all right. Thanks very much, sir, and we'll see you sometime in the future, hopefully down back in Brisbane.
Yeah, we're definitely going to organise, that style of music as a Sibbles reunion. Obviously, Sibbles went on after I finished there, but they would have a different style. But that particular style, hopefully we'll have a big reunion. I'll only play all those records that I played on those nights.
That'll be fantastic. All right, we look forward to it. All right, thank you.
Thanks, Alex.
Okay, bye.
Bye, mate.
Bye.
Bye.
I believe, locations with Rocking Horse Records, a dinky little shop, imports that Warwick's been running for a long time, still going. We moved across the road further down here, Adelaide Street, and then Hams and Ben Osborne was working in there. I helped them guys move to around the corner where the location is now. So that's an interesting thing. And then coming down through the bottom of Adelaide Street, at the bottom of the mall, around the corner, where you've got all the crazy Gucci and David Jones and all that shit now, there was a downstairs spot that used to go probably somewhere around here, somewhere down here,
and it was basically dance music where Paul Taylor and Betty were running a shop, getting in imports. Couldn't go fast enough, the records for the DJs. It was, yeah, cool place. Cool place. Yeah. I always remember this rock face in along Adelaide Street, and people used to come up with their flashy cars or perms and stuff and then walk into the club. So trying to locate it exactly ain't easy because God has changed. But Rumours nightclub, this is around Rumours nightclub area. So different these days, but a lot of memories coming out this way. So Darren Brio was a DJ down this way. He DJ'd, and one of the first guys to play Stacker Humanoid. I remember requesting Pop Goes My Love, Freeze, which he played, because usually it was IOU that was played, Freeze, and then you had Mal Stripper, Man to Man, another, there's that, well, it's hard to see the light, the big church, but yeah, Rumours nightclub, eh? So that was a great time just to come here with Ace D and my mate Jeff. That was like a fixation point to go there before other clubs. We'd start there. So I don't believe this. Yeah, I thought it was a bit further down, but it might be even in this section where it was. My God. Yeah, so. Pig and Whistle. Some of the trendies, all of those cats used to come down here, city rowers and all that, you know, incredibly drunk, slipping on hot dogs and everything else under the sun, you know, Black Russians, everything's getting drank under the table. But this is the club here, known as Fridays. So I've got some recollection here of a few nights out at this club. So yeah, alright, there you go, Fridays, still going, like the Beat, still going. Other places been demolished, like the Roxy recently, the site next to the Roxy was Patches actually, so that's another club that's yeah, B-boys used to hang out there, allowed to break. So wow, look at the city, man. So yeah, like, you know, this is quite a cool place. It's very dark now, but yeah, nice overview of the city, the bridge. So that was Fridays in the 80s. So I should mention here, Grand Orbit was also here, where Kesson played for a short time, as well as the Alarm and at the Beat. So Grand Orbit was another place somewhere, yeah, up in here. That was, didn't last that long. It was a great first big house club, but it was good, but it didn't last long because somebody shot the bouncers. terminus was, the greaser, was somewhere along here. Somewhere here. Terminus is here. It's all different now. So DJ Birdie used to DJ down there and play all the freestyle stuff, which wasn't exactly accepted or understood really, some of it, like Sweet Sensation, Take It While It's Hot. So as we continue up, you can see where the workings are from the demolishment of the Roxy, and Patches was up here near the corner too, I believe. That's an old building still there, heritage listed maybe. So site, of course, remember upstairs there, they had a dancer up there. DJ Dag played up there, West Bam played up in here. God, who else? DJ Edge, Frank DeWolf, Lenny D. Man, the site was the place to be. They had one night with a roll cage with a motorbike going ballistic in there one night too. So yeah, so the transformation has just changed so much, but you can see in there the site, and across from here an old building left. So I saw Egyptian Lover in there, and I saw Curtis Blow in here. Further down the street near Birdie's was Arabian Prince on a Sunday night, and in here was the Roxy. Christian used to DJ in here, a few other people, Eraser with his hardcore nights. Yeah, so yeah, there was a lot of good nights in that club, but I enjoyed the site more, which was Manhattan's nightclub before that, so in the 80s. Curtis Blow in the valley. Wow, what is a night this was. All the B-boy all-stars were there. I even jumped up on stage and did the electric boogie bit with him. Great night here. So yeah, he went through all of the hits. So there he is now, boogieing away. A master, really, produced a lot of great records too. Other artists, as well as his own rapping endeavours. The Egyptian Lover. So thanks for the sidewalk talk with me for Def Galaxian in effect again, checking it out, the old to the new, fresh.